in the cold. And advocates and social agencies are saying the rising cost of living is pushing more Canadians into homelessness. And joining me now in studio to talk about this is Patricia Jones. She's the president and CEO of the Calgary Homeless Foundation. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
You were also just recently appointed to this task force that the provincial government set up to deal with homelessness, addiction, and public safety, and we'll get into that in just a sec. But let's start first off with the picture in our city. Are we seeing an increase in the number of people who are homeless due to the rising cost of living?
Yeah, I don't know that we're seeing an increase, but we definitely do have people on the street. We have about 1,700 people on our waiting list waiting for housing, and I think you're seeing folks on the street that are suffering with multiple issues, whether that be mental health, addiction, and health issues. So we are seeing that for sure.
And during an extreme cold snap like this, can you paint a picture of what it looks like to be living out there on the street?
Yeah, during an extreme cold snap, and it is cold, it is difficult to live on the street. But luckily enough, we do have a city that thrives on partnership and collaboration, and we have been working with the City of Calgary, Calgary Bylaw, Calgary Transit, Calgary Police Service, our shelter partners, community agencies, to ensure there's warm spaces throughout the city for people if they want to warm up and get access to other services.
But it is an option. There will be some people who refuse to come inside.
Our experience is most people do choose to come inside. Nobody really wants to be outside when it's minus 40, but we do offer people every pathway we can, and then we respect their option to choose.
Of course. Do we have enough capacity to take everyone in who needs a warm place to be?
Absolutely, we do. There's about 335 warming spaces within the city during the day, and it spans the geographic spread of Calgary. So you can go to Dashmish Cultural Center in Martindale, or you can go to Mustard Seed downtown, or you can go to Journey Church in Tuscany, you can go to Woods Homes in Inglewood. So we've provided a depth and breadth of opportunities for folks.
What else is needed in the immediate right now for that population?
What is needed immediately is just folks to, when they see people out there, and if they're cold and they need support, to call the DOPE team. If people are really in crisis or you see somebody under medical distress, just call 911.
Okay. Now, as I mentioned, you're part of this new task force, which will look into the issue of homelessness, public safety, and addictions in our city. What's the overall goal here?
I think the overall goal is to have a variety of folks around the table, and what's really unique is 4 government ministries, the City of Calgary, our Indigenous relatives, and folks like me, Calgary Homeless Foundation, to look at the money that was announced by the province to make sure it's appropriately and defensively used to create the most impact for the people we serve.
So that money for Calgary, I think, was just shy of $58 million.
Yeah.
Where will that money be spent?
Well, we haven't had that meeting yet.
Where do you think it should be spent?
I think it will be spent to ensure that we have a co-created system and that people can recover when they're suffering. So that we are looking at all options, including, a recovery-oriented system of care. There is support for people who are looking for pre-treatment. There's peer support, but we haven't really looked as a task force at that yet, and will in January.
But you hit on the key word here. This government is really big on the idea of recovery-led solutions when it comes to addiction. Not as much about harm reduction. We do have some harm reduction, but the emphasis is on recovery, getting people access to recovery so they can get off drugs here. Are we doing enough for those who don't want to get off drugs but need a safer supply?
Yes. I would say yes. I don't want to speak for the government of Alberta. I do believe they believe safe consumption should be part of a continuum of supports for people, but not the only support. So I do believe they believe it should be part of a continuum that's connected to recovery. And recovery is about people having friends, people having financial literacy, people having health, people having a home, because without all that, there really isn't a lot of purpose in life, and we all need purpose in life.
So what's the short-term timeline for when we could see action here?
Oh, we're meeting in January, and the task force has a very tight timeline of March 31st, so I think you'll see action quite quickly.
Okay, and then longer term, I mean, this is a task force that is tasked with looking at things immediately, but it's a problem that's not going to go away. What do we need to do writ large in this city to address, I mean, there's a huge overlap between addiction and homelessness, right?
Significant overlap. I think we have to keep working together. I think the beginning is working with the government ministries and the City of Calgary and hoping that those relationships cement and we continue to work together. The government has been very clear this is a beginning. It could extend, but right now we really need to take action and get supports to people.
We could see a change in government come May.
Yes.
Would that concern you, given that something's up and running right now, or would you assume that we'd see a continuation in policy between the
Yeah.
incoming government should be different.
Yeah, I would hope not. I would hope to see a continuation.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll leave it there. Thanks for